AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
And off we go! Welcome aboard! Glad you're with us! AFR live from Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. We are here at Friends in Low Places on Broadway. Go make some noise! Bro, I'm gonna tell you what. I have done in my life a lot of remotes. I've gone to the Rose Bowl. I've gone to SEC championships, national championships, Super Bowls. I've even done remotes in this town for LSU games before. I ain't never seen nothing like this, what I'm looking at right now. I mean, I don't know if this is going to be an indication of what it's going to be like in First Bank Stadium on Saturday when LSU takes on Vanderbilt, but I'll tell you this much. I don't know if every LSU fan that's in Nashville just happens to be in this place right now. Is that possible, Alondra? I mean, do we just possibly have every LSU fan that's in Nashville just in this place in this very moment right now? I mean, could that
It feels like...
Yeah, I don't even know which mic.
I don't know what's happening right now.
I don't know what's happening either.
Okay, I got it.
I don't know. Yeah, you probably got to turn that down because it's right by a speaker.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, we got a ton to do. 3 hours staring you in the face. And I'm going to tell you, for whatever vibes y'all had going on for 2 weeks after Ole Miss and all that, check that at the door because the vibes in Music City, USA right now are immaculate right now. We got a ton to do. All right, Phil Steele's coming up in about 12 minutes. Chris Lee of Vandy Sports is going to be with us here on site, give us a preview of the Commodores. Like, they're literally bringing out stanchions right now, to make sure that people don't bump the cameras and get too close. Sean Salisbury next hour. Scott Rabelais will be on site with us as well. LSU gymnast Kaylin Shio, Lexi Zeiss here with Our Lady of the Lake, and they're signing autographs, taking pictures to my immediate right. I mean, they're rock stars over here as well. And they're going to be our guest pickers in hour 3, so we got a ton to do, and glad you're hanging out with us. Muse, let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, LSU and Vanderbilt, Saturday morning here in Nashville, Tennessee. Brian Kelly met with reporters on Thursday before we were wheels up. I'm sure on Thursday, Muse talked about it a little bit, but Whit Weeks is questionable. Bernard Gooden doubtful for this football game. And I'll tell you that when I was walking out of the Brian Kelly press conference, I saw, my eyes, Whit Weeks boot on his foot walking into a team meeting. It sure sounds like, talking around the program today, that it's a long shot for Whit Weeks to play in this football game on Saturday. And so if you're down Whit Weeks and Bernard Gooden, and you're already down Gabe Relaford, one of the positions on this team, position groups, your defensive line, in particular defensive front seven, in particular defensive line, thought to be great talent and depth on this team, is really, really potentially going to be tested on Saturday against Vanderbilt. Brian Kelly twice this week has mentioned, when he was asked about different things, he's pointed to the one thing that probably matters the most in this game. Muse, go back to Monday, if you would. On Monday, Brian Kelly was asked about defending Diego Pavia. This, Muse, I'm looking at it, looks like it's number 9 for Monday. On Monday, Brian Kelly was asked about defending Diego Pavia. And listen, the question was about Diego Pavia. Listen to where he goes with the answer.
Make him one-dimensional. I think that those dual-threat quarterbacks, if they can do both, you're in trouble. So we've got to really do a great job in the running game. And not to say that he can't throw the ball, because he can. They average over 200 yards throwing the football. He's capable. But I think if you're trying to choose one or the other, he's going to kill you if he runs. So we're going to take the path that we need to be really good against the run and then put him in predictable situations. They're the best in the country in third down because they're in third and short most of the time. So we've got to get them off schedule. First down is really crucial for us. If we can get them again in second and third situations that are a little bit longer, we can be more predictive relative to the balance between run and pass.
Okay, so Brian Kelly's asked about Diego Pavia, and his answer is Pavia's great, but we got to keep him out of third and short. It's the key to the game is first and second down. Vanderbilt is second in the country in third down conversions at nearly 60%. And the reason they're second in the country in third down conversions at nearly 60% is because they end up in third and manageable because they're very good on first and second down. They average over, let me say this slowly, Vanderbilt averages over 7 yards per carry. On the season, they average over 7 yards per carry. So, on Thursday, Brian Kelly is meeting with reporters on Thursday at his meet availability, and he's asked about Harold Perkins. The questions about Harold Perkins and being able to pressure Diego Pavia, like having Perkins as someone who could pressure Pavia. Again, the questions about Harold Perkins and pressuring Diego Pavia. Listen to what Brian Kelly said.
Yeah, certainly one of the things that we've done really well is put pressure on the quarterback. But I'll be honest with you, it's going to be our ability to control first and second down, or third down becomes quick game and it doesn't matter. You're not getting home. The ball's coming out so fast, you can't get there. So you've got to get into predictable third down situations, which then obviously that lends itself to us having some more success. So the real challenge here is first down and second down and making sure that when they get to third down, it's more than third and short.
Okay, Brian Kelly is giving you the test. Okay, this is like a situation where what do you call it? What do you call the exams where like it's an open book exam or something like that? Where like they give you the test. Now you still have to go study and you got to write out your answers and you got to answer all the questions appropriately. But the bottom line is Brian Kelly is telling you, he's giving you the questions to the test. Like this game for LSU is really simple. This game is a matter of LSU being able to defend Vanderbilt on first and second down to keep them in third and long so they don't convert. The team that is second in the country in third down conversion. Because what Vanderbilt wants to do is shrink the game. They want to run the football. They want to possess the football, keep your defense on the field. They want to shrink the game and possess it. So the way that you don't allow that is you get off the field. If you want a reason for optimism, here it is. This is the same team you faced a year ago with a defense that was not nearly as talented or deep or veteran as this one. And a year ago, you faced this Vanderbilt team and you held them to 2 of 10 on third down. It was in Tiger Stadium, but they were 2 of 10 on third down. They were 2 for 3 on 4th down a year ago, and they ran for 122, and they threw for 186, and they put up 308. But remember, last year's defense was not nearly as good as this one. But look at the time of possession. LSU, 35 minutes time of possession. Vanderbilt, 25 minutes time of possession. It inverted. The way that Vanderbilt wants to play, LSU was able to invert that game a year ago. So Brian Kelly knows what the plan is against Vanderbilt. They know what you have to do to win, to defend against this offense and to win this football game. The question is, like, knowing what to do is one thing. Can you go execute it? And can you execute it if you're down Bernard Gooden and Whit Weeks, and you're going to rely on a freshman in Buddy Mathis to take more reps and a sophomore in Devon Keys to take more reps at linebacker? That's going to be the game within the game. Listen, I think LSU is going to be able to move the football in this game. I know we haven't seen them score a ton, but Vanderbilt is good against the run. They are not good against the pass, and LSU has athletes all over the field. This is going to be an instance with a healthier Nussmeier and LSU's athletes making plays in the secondary. Those opportunities are going to be there for LSU on Saturday. It's going to be more, do you let Vanderbilt control and dictate tempo in terms of the game? That's what we're going to be watching Saturday there in Nashville. And my goodness, all these crazy people who are here right now, watching us right now, y'all, woo, they can make an impact in that game. I mean, we have seen it before where teams go into Vanderbilt and their fans take over because they'll put up, in a 40,000 seat stadium, you'll see teams bring 25, 30,000 people and take over that stadium. If this is any indication, we may be looking to see that on Saturday over at First Bank Stadium. Used to be Vanderbilt Stadium. They call it whatever they want now. All right, it's After Further Review. Our show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. A couple of Tiger fans already brought me a few ice-cold Bud Lights, the official beer of the Tigers, so make sure you get yours. Game watch party, tailgate, wherever you may be. Friends and low places here in Nashville, make sure you got plenty of ice-cold Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. All right, our coverage here in Nashville is brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake and Veteran Security Services. Sincere appreciation to our friends at Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics and Veteran Security Services. Without them, a trip like this isn't possible. Of course, if you need private security that you can count on, you want Veteran Security Services, where you're always protected, locally owned and operated, serving the Gulf Coast. Not a big national firm chasing profits. Neighbors protecting neighbors. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com, veteransecurityfirm.com. All right, y'all, we now got our first break of the show. When we come back, Phil Steele joins us every single Friday to preview the biggest games of the college football weekend. Just one segment with Phil, and then we got Chris Lee from Vandy Sports coming on at the bottom of this hour to give us the Vanderbilt perspective of this game. Don't you move, a jam-packed edition. We are live from Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, on Broadway at Friends in Low Places. Stay with us here on AFR.
After Further Review.
GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. They're complete employer solutions at Glow Resources. And I always say it like that. Complete employer solutions, because at Glow Resources, they work for you, the business owner. They work for you, the HR manager, the operations manager, the hiring manager. If you're the person in your business responsible for finding the people in your business to make your business more efficient, you need Glow Resources. So check them out online. Start at the website. It's GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. They will cast their net far and wide using their network of resources to find the right people to make your business the most efficient it can be. It's Glow Resources. Home base is in Baton Rouge, but they serve businesses all over the country and all over the world. So check them out online at glowresources.com, glowresources.com. GLO, glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Football Friday Nashville edition here on Broadway. And even though we are in Nashville getting ready for LSU and Vanderbilt, it would not be a Football Friday without Phil Steele, who's good enough to join us now. Phil, how are you?
I am doing great, Matt. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. We always appreciate your time and making yourself available. And what an awesome weekend of football we have with 2 games actually tonight, Phil. Friday that I want to start with some potential playoff implications. Louisville's at Miami. The Canes are a big favorite, 11.5, and they're trying to keep their perfection rolling. How do we see this one tonight, and what are we keeping an eye on with the Cardinals at the Hurricanes?
Yeah, I definitely like Miami on this one. I think if you follow Louisville so far this year, they have not had a single game this year that's impressed me. You go back to the Pitt game, they trailed by 17 and 10. I thought James Madison was a better team when they played them. James Madison had a 19-12 first down edge, but somehow at the end of the game, Louisville won by 14. So Miller Moss, just a 7-4 ratio this year. The run game has struggled. Isaac Brown is just 334 yards. Meanwhile, with Miami, I've been impressed 5 for 5 in their games. So this is one of those eye test games, Matt, where watching Miami, I'm very impressed. Watching Louisville, not that much impressed. And giving less than 2 touchdowns at home, I definitely like Miami in this one.
Bill, what about a thought on Nebraska at Minnesota tonight? Nebraska's 5-1, 2-1 in the Big Ten, so mathematically they still got a shot.
Yeah, Nebraska could clearly make the playoff. When you look at the rest of their schedule this year, they're playing Minnesota this week, Northwestern, USC at home, at UCLA. Now that at Penn State game doesn't look so tough. And then Iowa at home, they could very well be favored in all the rest of their games. Keep an eye on these Huskers. The thing that troubles me with them is they're not getting the margin. They didn't, the Michigan State game right around the spread, only beat Maryland by 3 last week. But this is a Minnesota team that just last week was outgained by Purdue, 456 to 262. Sort of fortunate to win the game. I like Nebraska to win the game. I would play Nebraska in this one, but just wouldn't be one of my top picks because of the fact they've been failing to get a lot of distance.
As we run into Saturday, Phil, a good one in the early window with Georgia Tech at Duke. This is one of those unranked favorite over a ranked team. Duke at home, a 2.5-point favorite over 6-0 and 12th ranked Georgia Tech. What do we make of this one, Phil? Do the Yellow Jackets remain perfect?
Yeah, and in this one, Matt, I appreciate the lines maker doing the work for me because Georgia Tech is not great as a favorite, but they are tremendous as an underdog. They played like 9 ranked ACC teams as a double-digit dog and won 8 of them. I'm just making up numbers, but it's close to that. They've done a phenomenal job. They struggle when they're in the favorites role. So all week long, they've been a dog. I like that. And I do think Georgia Tech's a better team. Now, Duke's played extremely well. They've got a very good defensive line. And, of course, Darian Mensah it has a 15-2 ratio. But Georgia Tech's a better team. They're in the underdog role, and that's an automatic play for me with Brent Key.
He is Phil Steele. You can get him at Phil Steele 042, philsteele.com, STEELE, philsteele.com. Phil, Oklahoma suffered their first loss of the season last week. We talked about it last week, Phil. Anybody's guess with that rivalry, number one, and then what do we make of John Mateer's injury? Well, now we have a little bit more of a sample size, but Oklahoma's a 4.5-point road favorite at South Carolina. Do the Sooners get back on track?
Yeah, I think they do, man. In fact, you go back and look at the first half of that game against Texas last week. They had a 170 to 114-yard edge. They were winning 6-3 at the half, probably could have been up by more. And then Mateer started tossing interceptions in the second half, and the game really turned around, as did that punt return for a touchdown. I think Mateer now a week removed from the injury, and the fact that he's had time to practice with the first string, you're going to see a much sharper John Mateer. And I think when you compare these two teams this year, Oklahoma's a much better team. Defensively, they got the edge. Offensively, they have the edge, and capable of going on the road and getting the win here. I like Oklahoma minus the 4.5.
All right, Phil likes the Sooners to bounce back there. Phil, a game that's always wild, but usually in Jerry world, is Texas A&M at Arkansas. Arkansas, Bobby Petrino's debut last week, they gave Tennessee a scare, but this one is in Fayetteville. The Aggies are favored by 7 and a hook. Maybe a little bit of a look-ahead spot with LSU next week. Feels like a dangerous spot for the Aggies. Phil, what say you?
Yeah, I think it is. And as you know, Matt, I'm very high in Texas A&M. I think they're one of the most complete teams in the country. They've got the run game. They've got receivers like Craver and Concepcion. They've got one of the best offensive lines in the country. They have an outstanding defense. 21 sacks this year, allowing just 3.3 yards per carry. But as you mentioned, Arkansas can be dangerous. Now, their defense nowhere near what A&M does, but they've got the offense with Jalen Green, Bobby Petrino calling the plays. And as you mentioned, they took Tennessee to the wire, only losing by 3. So I think it is a tough spot for them. I like the Aggies to win the game, but I guess if you're laying 7.5, lean a little bit with Arkansas in this one, although Texas A&M is clearly the much better team.
Let's stay in that afternoon window. You got a top 10 matchup with Ole Miss visiting Georgia. Georgia, dramatic win last week against Auburn. Ole Miss struggled against Washington State. I don't know, Phil. This looks like a spot where Ole Miss probably gets their first blemish of the season. The Bulldogs are 7.5-point home favorite. How do you see it?
Yeah, and Trinidad Chambliss is not a young quarterback, but he is making his first real road start. Remember, he was in Division II. Now he's playing here, and you look at these games so far, they've all been at home in the friendly confines. Now he's got to go on the road between the hedges, taking on a Georgia team that is going to be all fired up for this one. Ole Miss beat them last year. And not just beat them, they outplayed them where Georgia normally has the advantage, and that's at the line of scrimmage. So I think when you look at this matchup, you're going to see Georgia come in fired up to get revenge. It's Chambliss's first road start in the SEC, which I think is going to be big. And I really think, as I mentioned last week when we did the show, Georgia wins the rest of the regular season games and finds itself in the SEC title game. I like the Bulldogs here.
Georgia laying 7.5 at home. Phil, you're right. Big revenge spot from a season ago. I know that's an angle that you're big on. Hey, let's jump into the Big 12. Texas Tech, one of the pleasant surprises in college football, undefeated, ranked 7th in the country. They're on the road, though, in Tempe against a playoff team from a year ago where Arizona State is a 7.5-point home underdog. Texas Tech at Arizona State. Can the Red Raiders remain unbeaten?
You know, I think they should remain unbeaten. They're really the best team in the Big 12. They've got the defense. You look at them offensively. Cam Dickey running for like 260 yards last week. Even if Aaron Morton doesn't play, I like what I saw to Will Hammond in the fourth quarter against Utah when he took a 10-10 game and made it 34-10. But this is a proud Arizona State team, the defending Big 12 champs. They leave it back at quarterback. They've already beaten Baylor and TCU in league play. They're a home underdog. I got to lean with Arizona State plus the points in this, but I do think at the end of the game, Texas Tech comes out with a very tight win, but closer than the experts expect.
Got a few more for you, Phil. Third Saturday in October, Tennessee at Alabama. You want to talk about a revenge spot? Here's another one after the Tide fell on Rocky Top a year ago. Alabama now a 7.5-point home favorite over the Vols. Tennessee, can they make it back-to-back years, or is the revenge spot too much for them?
Yeah, I think the revenge spot is too much. Plus a couple other things. Heupel on the road is an away dog. How about 1-6 against the spread? So they don't play as well. They don't travel as well. Go back to the Mississippi State game. They were sort of fortunate to come out of there with a win. Now they're taking on a much tougher Alabama team on the road. And then you've got two really good quarterbacks here. Now, we know Ty Simpson's not going to make a mistake. This guy's been flawless this year. Joey Aguilar is a quarterback that can make mistakes. He does have 5 interceptions this year, and, of course, last year at App State had double-digit interceptions. And the final factor would be the pass defenses. You wonder who's got the better pass D. Well, Alabama's got one of the best pass defenses in the country. Tennessee's actually towards the bottom of the SEC in pass defense. Add it all up, I like Alabama minus the points here.
Got a few more for you, Phil. You were all over last week. Southern Cal beating Michigan. You mentioned it all last season. They were a handful of plays away from potentially being a playoff team. Now this is the biggest one remaining on their schedule, no doubt, and the same for Notre Dame. It's in South Bend. 20 years after the Bush push, Notre Dame a 9.5-point home favorite over the Trojans. Who gets the biggest win?
You know, I think Notre Dame's going to come out with the win, and I really would like to see USC's running back core be a little bit healthier. Interesting story last week. They lost their top 2 running backs to injury, and their third-string running back was listed as out on the report. He was in dress clothes at the start of the game, or in street clothes, I should say. They had to put him in uniform for the second half, use a walk-on running back in King Miller, who, by the way, had a great game. Shows you how USC dominated the line of scrimmage last week. So they are still depleted at the running back core. It's going to be rainy and windy in Notre Dame, which I think is an advantage for the Irish with Love and Price and the fact that USC's running back core is banged up. My favorite play in this one, Matt, would probably be under the total. I think Notre Dame's defense, which was maligned early in the year after they had given up 27 and 41 to two really good teams, is actually holding opponents to 122 yards per game, below their average. I think they worked the run game with Love and Price. I'm going to go with under in this game as my top play.
All right, we got two more. Remember, you can get online at philsteele.com. Take that Phil Steele Plus Tour. That's Phil Steele, STEELE, philsteele.com. Holy War, Phil, Utah at BYU survived the scare last week, and they are a 3.5-point home underdog in this game. Utah, the road favorite in the Holy War. Rivalry games are tough to peg, Phil. How do you see it there in Provo?
Yeah, when I look at BYU this year, Matt, I still haven't been blown away with them in any single game. Even last week, I had Arizona, and the score is 24-14, Arizona, fourth quarter. About 4 minutes to go, you're feeling pretty good. Somehow, some way, BYU manages to force overtime and win it in overtime, but by far not a dominating game. And Bear Bachmeier, the quarterback, hit just 12 or 29 passes. Meanwhile, when you look at Utah, the thing I love about them is the line of scrimmage. They've got 2 first-round draft picks at offensive tackle. They've got one of the best offensive lines in the country. Defensively, they got one of the best defenses, 5 sacks against Arizona State last week. So I really think they are the complete team, and they're another team playing with legitimate revenge. Remember, after last year's game, which BYU pulled out late, the Utah athletic director said this game was stolen from them by the referees. So I think you're going to see Utah come in here very focused and take away the fourth quarter against Texas Tech, where they were 10-10. Utah's played great all year. In fact, they've covered their road games by an average of 16 points per game. I'm going to go with the Utes in this one.
All right, Phil likes the road favorite, Utah. All right, Phil, we're in Nashville with honky-tonk music playing behind us, looking out on Broadway here on a beautiful sun-kissed 78-degree day, purple and gold everywhere, Phil, because people love to come to Nashville and you love to get an easy win over Vandy. Only LSU's an underdog in this game for the first time since the 1940s. I show up and they're an underdog for the first time in 80 years. Phil, please tell me all the purple and gold fans that are coming, hoping that LSU keeps its season on track, are going to leave Nashville happy. LSU, a 2.5-point dog at Vanderbilt. How does it go Saturday morning here in Music City?
Well, you're going to love this one, Matt, because it's a me versus the computer game. My computer all week long has been saying Vanderbilt. All the indicators, power ratings, this power rating, that power rating, projected score, projected yards, everything says Vanderbilt in this game, according to the computer. My mind can't wrap around the fact that LSU's an underdog in this game. And frankly, I think they played the tougher schedule so far this year, taking on teams like Clemson, Florida, Ole Miss. So they've played the much tougher schedule this season, and I think they're the better team. Better defense, definitely, and I think the offense will continue to improve as the season goes along. I like the 420 yards they had against South Carolina. So this was for bragging rights here in the office between me and the computer, but I'm going with LSU to come out of here with the win.
Yeah, Phil, I never liked your computer anyway. Sell that computer to kick rocks. Phil going with the Tigers. I'd love to see it. Hopefully so, man. Tigers lose this one. It'll be a long second half of this season. All right, Phil Steele Plus Tour up at philsteele.com. Let's remind people, as we always do, how the tour is doing and what they get when they go to the website.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Matt. Yeah, the Phil Steele Plus Tour is up and available right now. Just go to philsteele.com. Right there in the main menu, you can click on the Phil Steele Plus Tour. It's on YouTube. Last week, the tour went 10-5 on the selection. So make sure you get these plays. They're all absolutely free. 6 selections, 6 quick hitters, and even an NFL free play for you. All at philsteele.com.
10-5 last week. I tell you, Phil's just trying to pay for your kids' college. That's all he's a man. He's a man of the people. Hey, Phil, we appreciate it as always. Thank you so much for taking the time and for tolerating all the background noise. But I tell you, man, it feels great to be in Music City. Thank you as always for the time. Enjoy the football.
All right, have a great time in Nashville, Matt. Always enjoy the conversations, my friend.
The one and only Phil Steele joining us from Music City. We appreciate him. We are brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. Dr. Blake Williamson, his staff, they do amazing work. Say it all the time. Eye care, eyewear, eye surgery. If you need your annual eye exam, the Williamson Eye Center can help you. If you need to update your contacts or glasses prescription, they can fill that prescription for you. If you want to ditch the contacts and glasses forever, the Williamson Eye Center can help. 924-2020, 924-2020, or go to williamsoneye.com. That's Williamson, EYE.com. All right, y'all, we are here from Friends in Low Places on Broadway in Nashville. Live music all day long. The LSU Alumni Association is partying here as well. This place, they told me the capacity here is about 2,000 people at all. There's 4 levels of this place. So the capacity is 2,000. I don't know. We got to be close to that here already. And the Alumni Association group that was flying in today, which is another 150 people or so, they're not even getting here until like 5:30. So this is a hell of a crowd, man. This has been really impressive to see this LSU turnout. I mean, LSU fans always travel. Nashville's a great trip. Didn't really know what to expect. We're here in 2019 when LSU played Vanderbilt, but this has been impressive and at times a bit overwhelming. So hopefully all that carries into tomorrow's game against the Commodores. Phil Steele picking LSU to beat Vanderbilt. All right, we'll knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Chris Lee, who covers Vanderbilt, has for a long time, set to join us on site. He's texting me. He's like, I can't find a place to park. So we'll see if Chris is here. Whatever, we're going to bump. We'll see. But Chris Lee set to join us next here on AFR. Man, I love telling you about Duplessis Builders, DuplessisBuilders.net. My buddy Derek Duplessis, man, does amazing work. And the great thing about Duplessis is, yes, they can build you that beautiful custom pool, that resort-style custom pool, the specifications that you want. But they also have a pool for any budget. So you can go to the website, DuplessisBuilders.net, DuplessisBuilders.net. And if you go to pick your pool on the homepage, you'll see how you can pick a pool starting at $49,000 and pick whatever finishes you want, whatever features you want. It's right there at DuplessisBuilders.net. So whether you want that beautiful custom resort style pool or a sort of ready-made, you pick your finishes pool as low as $49K, Duplessis Builders can help you out. So check them out online. Start there at DuplessisBuilders.net, DuplessisBuilders.net. Derek Duplessis and his team do beautiful work. Check them out, DuplessisBuilders.net.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Tigers are on the hunt. Let's head behind enemy lines to preview this week's matchup.
All right, welcome back. Hey, right on time. We just started the segment. Hold on, we just started the segment right on time. Pop down. Here we go. I tell you what, man. Chris Lee has been a contributor and a friend for a long time here on the show, covered Vanderbilt. And I tell you, man, that's been yeoman's work for a long time. How different is it for you now? By the way, this timing was incredible. Wait, explain. Pull your mic a little closer, though. Just sure. Yeah. Explain to people what just happened here, like with you texting me running around here.
Well, look, you can walk faster downtown than you can drive, but you can't walk very fast here either.
I mean, you asked me earlier in the week. What the LSU crowd was going to be like, and I wasn't really sure. A lot of disappointment after the Ole Miss loss. Chris, I don't know if it's just that every LSU fan in Nashville is in this bar right now, but it's lit. All right, give me a sense of what it's like covering Vanderbilt for a guy that's done it your whole career now. Clark Lee, Diego Pavio, winning team, favored for a game, favored against a top 10 opponent for the first time in 50 years.
It's like going from eating out of a dumpster to like, okay, wait, this is how everybody else lives. Football is fun.
Yeah.
Like, you go into Saturdays with an anticipation if you don't know what will happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's new. This is the first time Vanderbilt has been a favorite, Matt, in 51 SEC games.
51.
And you know they've not been favored over LSU since 1948. But it's just been bad to the point, like, there's nothing. I stopped podcasting because I'd said it all. There's nothing more to say. Like, they're bad. They're going to get beat a lot this week. 2 years ago, they lost every SEC game that they played by at least 17 points.
That was the 0-8 team that went 2-10 overall.
And look, 2 years before that, or maybe 3, I guess, or 2, was 2020. And like as bad as they have been, Matt, they have never gone over for a season. Like you can go back to 1890 or whatever when they played 2 games against the YMCA or whatever. They've never gone over for a season. Yeah. Right? And then that happened
literally the YMCA.
Right. They've never gone over for a season, and then, you know, you think you've got it figured out a couple of years ago, and it goes all back to crap again the next year. And then last year with Pavia beating Alabama, that was kind of the first step of, oh, wow. Like, I will tell you, at no point last year did I think they would beat Alabama. It did not occur to me till the fourth quarter of the game, like, hey, they may be able to run the clock out here and win it. And it is, like, they were not as good last year as they are this year. But that was the kind of the beginning of, because I don't know if you remember this, Paul Feinbaum had done a show, I don't know, a few weeks before the season, and he had said...
Last year?
Yeah. He said, is this the last year that... Has Vanderbilt won its last game as a member of the SEC against another SEC school? And like at the time, that felt like a fair question, right? Yeah. Because you've got conference realignment and money is rolling things in. Like, what do they have to offer at the table? They completely flipped the script. They did the stuff they needed to do with admissions and just common sense stuff. And I think the college football landscape, it's like a rubber band. You know, you take a rubber band like this and you pull it out. That's what it used to be. Now college football is the rubber band that nobody has pulled out, and the ends are closer, the teams are all closer. Now, I think that goes for the Power 4, right? I don't think it goes for Kent State, but like the world of opportunity has brought them to a place where competitiveness is not crazy, and then they made the pivots administratively to get there.
Yeah. Is Vanderbilt, I would say, the administration and the support, the boosters, committed to being good long term?
I mean, it feels like it for a change. It used to be the thing was, I would hear this over and over, like, how is anybody going to win here? They would tell me, like, okay, we'll give our coach facilities that they need once they win some games. I'm like, well, wait a minute. They're not winning games because everything around here sucks.
Yeah, it's a chicken or the egg conversation.
And then, like, once every 10, 12 years, somebody would go 7-6. They'd get excited for a minute, and then it would go back to what it was. Probably the most important thing that happened to them was 3 years ago they played UNLV in September. And this is after they'd beaten Florida, beaten Kentucky, thought they had it figured out. Yeah. They go to UNLV, they get beat by a mobile quarterback. Jade Maeba, who ended up in bigger places. Yeah. And at that point, they're like, hey, this is not going to work. And I had one of the parents of one of the quarterbacks on the roster call me a couple weeks later, and he said, hey, look, coaches that talk with my son, you know, encourage him to transfer elsewhere. Done that with all the quarterbacks on the roster because they have decided if they are going to win, they're going to have to get a mobile quarterback. They cannot go up against LSU's and Alabama's with the same kind of approach everybody else does, right? And so when they made
was that pivot, AJ Swan? Not that you have to give out your source, but like
no,
ended up at LSU.
Actually, it was not. I did talk to his dad too, but that was not the guy. Yeah. But and then he wound up somewhere else.
It's an example of, it's an illustration of what you're talking about.
Yeah, but anyway, fast forward to a year later, you know, they're figuring out how are we going to do this, right? And they watch, Clark Lee watches Auburn get beat by New Mexico State.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, those guys have figured something out. Let's tap into that. Within a couple of months, they have hired Diego Pavia, the coaching staff, and here you are, where they're a 2.5-point favorite tomorrow. Like, that's not a world at any point where I thought we'd be living in. But they're a good football team.
Chris Lee, Vandy 247, Southeastern16.com as well. Make sure you're there. You're subscribed to all the content, YouTube, podcast, everywhere. Make sure you check it out there. Chris has covered Vandy. Chris has gone through the lean years, man. He has been so well. You know, we've had a lot of good baseball conversations. Yeah. Those have been a bit more productive than the football ones. But this is a game tomorrow where we look at it, and it's fascinating because, you know, I think there's a very clear strength-on-strength, week-on-week component of this game. Where do you look at as what is the key matchup on Saturday?
I think there's a bunch of key ones. It's a line of scrimmage league. Vanderbilt's offensive line this year is really good, really good. So I think just doing what they do, don't turn the ball over, run the ball, control the clock. That's going to be a big thing, number one. I think number two, I know LSU has struggled, right? The offensive struggles have been well documented.
Yeah.
If you played this game 100 times, there's a couple games out there where Nussmeier looks like the guy we thought. They've got a room of receivers who can really run.
Yeah.
And I'm a little worried about Vanderbilt being able to cover some of those guys on a good day. Now, like, it hasn't shown up yet, but it's not impossible either. And so I think, to me, you want to keep LSU where they are. You don't want to get them confident. You probably get after the quarterback early. They've got a pretty good pass rush. They got 3 or 4 guys that can really get after you. To me, it's a strength on strength with Vanderbilt's offense and LSU's defense. That's where it's interesting. But I think the thing you don't want to have happen if you're Vanderbilt is LSU's offense to show up like everybody thought, because then there's a really difficult game for them to win.
Yeah. I know you have to get to campus.
I've got a while.
Okay, all right. Let me grab a break so we'll stay on time. We'll come back and we'll get a final thought on this game. Chris Lee is with us, Vandy 247 Southeastern 16. Make sure you check it out. We'll continue next here on AFR. Live from Nashville, and glad to have you hanging out with us here, and always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at Watermark and Renaissance. Watermark Baton Rouge, Renaissance Baton Rouge, Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet. You know, the Watermark and the Renaissance have been great partners of ours, but great community partners as well, because no matter what event that you have coming up, Watermark and Renaissance, Allison Crump, the event coordinator there, she's fond of saying, we're in the business of saying yes. So if it's, you need their grand ballroom for 500 people, if you need a boardroom for 12 people, you're hosting a fundraiser. Listen, the LSU football team moves into Renaissance Baton Rouge the Friday before every home game, and they have the grand ballroom for team meetings and team meals, and they have smaller rooms for the position group meetings. So whatever it is that you have going, whatever event you want to host, think Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown in Baton Rouge. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance in Baton Rouge.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
All right, we're wrapping up hour number 1. Our Friday shows are presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. We're here in Nashville, Music City on Broadway at Friends in Low Places. Our buddy Chris Lee, at Chris Lee 70, at Chris Lee 70 on Twitter X, where you can get him, Vandy 247, of course. Also at Southeastern 16. Okay, we got about 4 minutes here. We talked about keys for the game tomorrow. If Vanderbilt wins the game, what do you think it looks like?
I think they want to be positive in turnovers, right? Can you hear me okay?
Let's pull it closer. Okay. Yeah. Hey, man, we got Martina McBride going on back here. I know.
You can't.
But you know what they told me, like, back in Sweden, they're like, they can't even hear the noise. I mean, the headphones are so amazing, the mics are so amazing, not even picking all that up.
You can hear it all.
But I know, but you and I can barely hear each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got to be positive in turnovers. That was a thing where they failed against Alabama. Again, you don't want LSU to look like the LSU offense they thought. LSU ran the ball better a week ago. You want to keep that in check. And I think special teams could be a big thing. Nobody talks about them. Vanderbilt's got a really good kicker in Brock Taylor, who I think they trust inside of 60. I don't think he's missed a field goal in a calendar year. Wow. Now, he hasn't tried many lately because they convert touchdowns, but those are just some things that I think to look for. And the 11 o'clock kickoff, like, that's tricky. Who shows up ready to play? I don't think weather will be a factor, but that's a bunch. I think it's going to be a close game. Yeah. I don't think one name's clearly better. I think you've got LSU's best unit, which is the defense, playing Vandy's best unit, which is the offense. And I think that part alone is going to be really, really fun.
Yeah. Brian Kelly has made the point all week that this is a game that for LSU has to be won on first and second down, because if you get to a situation where Vandy's consistently in third and short, it's the reason they convert 60% on third down, then they wear you down. Your defense are on the field. If you flip it and LSU is able to get going offensively, what do you think is sort of the culprit for Vanderbilt?
I think it's what you saw against Alabama, the inability to cover elite athletes downfield. They didn't play a lot of those before last week. It's not like Alabama gashed them left and right there, but there's a lot of guys, the Andersons, Barry and Brown, like, those guys could be problems on the wrong day. Vanderbilt moved Martell Hyde, who was a two-way guy, back to primarily an offensive defensive guy. He's the best cover corner. They did that against Alabama. I think that was an indicator that, hey, they're worried about that kind of thing. I think if you're Vanderbilt, that's one of the primary things. And LSU's defense is just so good. Like, I am curious, did Alabama put something on film that translates? In terms of Vanderbilt didn't score in the second half of that game. Yeah. They kind of cut down Pavia's escape lanes. LSU's front seven is very good, and their secondary is great. And so I do wonder, is there something there in terms of, because the problem with Vanderbilt is you can contain them and get them 3rd and 8 and have all the receivers covered, and then Pavia goes for 13. And by the way, he's healthier this year than he was when they played last year, which is a big thing and coming off a bye week. But I think those are some of the key things I'll be watching.
I know there's some we talked about it at the beginning of the show today, but there's some reports now that are trickling out in addition. I think it's doubtful that Whit Weeks plays in the game. So saw him yesterday at the facility wearing a boot, and some of the things I heard when I asked around it doesn't sound like he's going to play. And I know there's some other reports today. So, if Bernard Gooden, who's LSU, played the most snaps defensive tackle for LSU, isn't available, and Whit Weeks isn't available, that changes LSU's dynamic in the front seven against a really good running team. We got 60 seconds, so who wins why?
I think Vanderbilt wins by one score, maybe a 27-24 type game.
Similar to last year.
Just because I think when push comes to shove, I trust them. Like, if somebody's got, say it goes to overtime, who I trust to score, I just think I trust Vanderbilt to make a play. They're a really good team. Again, line of scrimmage is a big thing. Their offensive line is really good. They're also, I think, the oldest team in the country, which matters, I think, in games like this.
I think it's one of those things that Clark Lee and Barton Simmons did very wisely. They identified what their approach was going to be, and it was go get old, experienced players that can buy into the system. It's going to be a fascinating thing to see, and it's going to be a good environment if this turnout is any indicator. Chris Lee, of course, Vandy 247, Southeastern 16. Check him out, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thanks for battling the crowds to go join us here. All right, we'll kick off hour 2 from Friends and Low Places next.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry with 10 locations in all. Our friends at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry can help find that beautiful piece of jewelry, whether you're thinking of getting engaged, if it's an anniversary present. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry has what you want to thrill her. So thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Whenever you buy for 10 stores, you have the purchasing power to get great selection and pass on great prices to your customers. And that's something where Lee Michaels thrives and has for 40 years, because you have box stores that can be cookie cutter, and then you have boutique jewelers which maybe don't have a great selection and can tend to be a bit overpriced. Lee Michaels is that perfect in between, with 10 locations where they have what you want. If they don't have it, they'll find it. They can't find it, they'll make it. And of course, they'll always give you a great price. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Online, lmfj.com.